Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night, the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gon' pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for turning a moment into a movement. I am J Love, and the reason why we're here tonight is because we're doing a pop-up session. We had some great articles to come out this week. So we're going to talk part 2 about Krystal versus Huron Valley. But for those of you who may be your first time watching us, I represent also the Justice for GERARD movement. GERARD is my son who was wrongly convicted for a crime that he didn't do. Innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And because of the journey I went through with him and all the people that I met on that journey, created this platform called Turning a Moment into a Movement. Our mission here is to bring awareness to all that are impacted from being wrongly convicted, over-sentenced, mentally ill, and medically frail in our communities, to inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the needs to disrupt systems, policies, patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. So that's why we come here on Fridays at 8:30. We're kind of on summer vacay again, but because so much is going on with Krystal, we just want to keep her name uplifted and keep her on the forefront of what we're doing. So I'm going to bring on our guest which is Trisha Duckworth, and also Miss Diane. Hi, you guys.
Hi, how you doing, Jay and
Hey,
Trey?
Jay. Hey, Miss Diane.
Go ahead, you guys. Introduce yourself. Start with Trisha.
No, we starting with Miss Diane.
Okay, Miss Diane.
I'm Diane Bukowski. I'm editor of the Voice of Detroit, which has been online for almost 14 years now at voiceofdetroit.net. And previously, I was a reporter for the Michigan Citizen for 10 years. Some people may remember that newspaper. It was a Black-owned weekly, a print weekly, so it got into the prisons and all over on the streets. So right now, Voice of Detroit is online. And we've been
Yes.
covering exclusively pretty much cases of wrongful convictions and issues in prisons.
Yes, and I just want to, before we move further, I just want to say, you guys, if you want to view the Voice of Detroit, here's the link. And you also can donate to the Voice of Detroit because Miss Diane does this all out her pocket for the love of you guys. And so we want to help keep this paper, this online paper going. So please donate to it. There's your link. So many wrongful convictions and exonerees that are here today as a result of Miss Diane publishing their stories on her platform. So we need you guys to support this platform and keep it up and running. So I want to personally thank you, Miss Diane, because you do a lot of great work and your stories is magnificent. And yeah, I just want to, make sure I give you your flowers right now. So
Yes,
thank you, Miss Diane.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's for the people.
Yes. Now, Trisha.
all right, Miss Diane, Miss Diane.
Thanks
know,
for the encouragement. It's needed sometimes.
This is salute to you, right? Because I know that this work is not easy. Truth tellers are often attacked, not supported. And from one grassroots to, because really you have a grassroots journalist, you're a grassroots journalist, you know what I mean? And you're doing this thing on your own. You've been doing it for so long. So for real, hats off to you and just thank you. I've called you a couple times, like, can you write this story, and just your willingness to help the people. Like, yeah, this stuff costs money, y'all. This is not, what she does is not free. And so oftentimes when you see things come out, that's coming out of her own pocket. So we definitely want to support Voice of Detroit. Look, if you have good grassroots organizations that are putting their hands to the plow and doing the work, let's support them. So let's support Voice of Detroit because Ms. Diane does continue to uplift our community in ways like with the courage that a lot of people won't. Like Miss Diane will call a thing, right? And it's
Mhm.
like we're not just here gaslighting you or just trying to make you feel good. This is just the facts about Diane Bukowski and the Voice of Detroit. And so we honor you tonight. We honor you.
Okay,
Yeah.
people can find links for contributions in every story that I do, like the recent one that's up on the Huron Valley federal ruling in Krystal. There's a full link at the bottom of the story, and then at the top there's a little introductory donation link.
Yes, don't just give her the flowers, give her some money too.
Yes, please.
Yes.
My name is Trisha Duckworth. For those who do not know me, I am the executive director and founder of Survivor Speak. Really, I'm just somebody that loves the community, somebody that loves righteousness. Not that I do everything right. It's a difference, but my heart is right. My heart is for the community. I'm just so grateful for this time for us to be able to come together and uplift Krystal Clark and just community at large and wrongful convictions and, justice for GERARD. And Jay, thank you. You are such a force like I have never seen. I'm serious. I think about so many times and so much of what you went through where like I was like, I would quit by now. I would quit or just at least take a big break. But Jay, you just keep your hand to the plow. You keep this platform moving forward. And I just thank you because this life-saving mission for Krystal Clark, you birthed this in us. And we thank you for that. We thank you for continuing to push Krystal forward until she came into all of our hearts and lives. We didn't have a choice, right? Because when we look at how Krystal has been done, man, I don't know who can look at this and look away. So thank you so much, Jay, for everything that you do.
Yes, and
Trisha.
the same here, Jay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, you guys. Hey, I feed off of y'all energy. Y'all are amazing women, and I'm just, a reflection of you guys. So, thank you. Um, um, everything. Trisha, we talk all night, trying to get this thing together because some nights we can't sleep because of what's going on with Krystal. Krystal called me at 8 o'clock, in the morning. So it's just so much. And so speaking of that, Miss Diane, let's talk about the story, let's talk, let's peel it apart, Miss Diane.
Well, I first found out about the federal ruling from an email that Jay sent out. And when I opened it up and read it, I was just stunned. It's an incredible ruling. The judge doesn't mince no words. There's if you go to the story, there's an excerpt from it talking about Huron Valley is infected with mold. The mold eats through bricks and door frames. It drips off the ceiling. It falls out of air vents. It bubbles and bursts through paint. And it leads to a parade of horrible medical conditions, respiratory infections, wheezing, skin rashes. And then the judge is Stephen Murphy, and his magistrate judge who did the initial report to him in conjunction with the defendants. With the plaintiffs, is Elizabeth Stafford. I've featured them both because I think as a woman, she really had an input that nobody else would have from a woman's standpoint. And the thing that's astonishing to me is that he filed this excellent ruling. And if you go to voiceofdetroit.net, there's a link to the entire ruling. And there's been very little media coverage. Normally the local media here would be on it. I just got an email from Jimmy Sabin from it's a prison fellowship that he sponsors. He's a former prisoner himself. And he noted the lack of coverage. He had posted a story from Michigan Advance, but he said this story is much more detailed on Voice of Detroit. And the appalling thing to me is that despite that ruling, which just totally tears apart the contentions of the Department of Corrections, he just locks it in all four corners. He just does a job. And that's a highly unusual ruling that I've, among the many that I've seen. Now, the shocking thing is really that Dana Nessel and the Attorney General's office, of course, she's appointed, and under Governor Whitmer, have appealed to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, they're especially mad because he demolished their qualified immunity contentions, saying that this is a constitutional violation, that they had plenty of notice from all the people, all the plaintiffs about these issues. And then what happened was, let me read. Okay. He notes, he said about qualified immunity, all defendants' Eighth Amendment deliberate indifference claims must satisfy a two-part test with an objective and subjective component. The objective prong asks whether the inmate was incarcerated under conditions posing a substantial risk of serious harm. The subjective prong then asks whether officials knew of and disregarded that excessive risk to the inmate's health or safety. Here, plaintiffs satisfy both prongs. And then he notes that the defendant suggested the poor conditions at Huron Valley are part of the routine discomforts of prison life. And they argued that the conditions do not inflict unnecessary and wanton pain. The Supreme Court has repeatedly affirmed that only those deprivations depriving the minimal civilized measure of life's necessities are sufficiently grave to form the basis of an Eighth Amendment claim, which is what the cruel and unusual punishment, what this claim was brought under. And earlier, in a previous story in Voice of Detroit, and it was actually from Krystal Clark, the defendants had argued there are no cases establishing a prisoner's right to be free from these molds, that it is not clearly established that any type of mold at WHV is sufficiently dangerous to incarcerated people. And even if it were clearly established that certain modes were dangerous enough to implicate the Eighth Amendment, it is not clearly established that prison officials need to take any particular attention to remediate the presence of mold. Outrageous. And when you see that there are, that was during an appeal from the original ruling in 2023 under Judge Victoria Roberts. And she ended up denying it, but leaving it open for them to file an amended complaint. And one of the causes that she denied it on, one of the issues was qualified immunity. But he just completely rips that apart. And to know that here, Dana Nessel is a woman. Heidi Washington, that's head of the Bureau of Prisons, is a woman. Governor Whitmer is a woman. And I know people have been appealing to her for clemency for Krystal because she needs to get out in order to live. Right. I understand from Jay that the parole board just denied that request. How they can sit up there in their castles, whatever they, at the top of the state, and allow the only women's prison in the state to exist with conditions like this, which are really, according to what I've heard, that Huron Valley used to be a women's and men's prison. It used to have men in it in one section. They moved the men out. There was a couple of women's prisons. They moved all the women into this prison. And Jay can probably talk more about that because I understand there was a man that testified before when he was in the men's division that the same conditions that are there now were there then. And they still, what they did was they just totally discriminated against women. Not that the men prisoners are kept in any kind of decent conditions or comforts or treatment. We know how bitter and painful prison is on a daily basis for anybody that's in it. But for them to decide back then, that was decades ago, and he said the conditions were there at that time, to decide to put all the women prisoners in that prison is just appalling. And they're getting no action until now. This is really the first ruling from a judge that holds their feet to the fire. But I was just stunned to see that they immediately appealed, and they've asked for the case to not proceed while the appeal is underway. And actually what happens when they go to the Sixth Circuit, it's no longer in the venue of Judge Stephen Murphy. All actions have to be taken at the Sixth Circuit level. So we don't know how long that's going to take. Meantime, Krystal's life is in danger. The lives and conditions that people are living in that prison, they're still going to be living in them as they've lived in them apparently for decades. And I think Jay can address some of that more, because she told me the prison is on swampland, which is what contributes to the mold. They should have torn that prison down rather than moving all the women into it.
Exactly. So during our community conversation at U of M, we did have a man who used to be in Huron Valley when the men were there. And he said that the same conditions that we were discussing at that community conversation were present when he was in there. It flooded. Mm-hmm. He talks about the toilets backing up and how their cells used to be flooded. He talked about the mold that was in there. It was mold in there then. The roofs leaking when it rains. And he was the one who told us that it was built on swampland. And I was like, unbelievable. So they push all the men out, and they have all these women in there who are mothers. A lot of them are mothers. Children come in there to visit their mothers. They get women in there that's pregnant. And all of these folks is breathing in these toxins that everybody knows is there, but they're denying it like it makes it goes away. It's not going away. I talked to Krystal this morning. She was so out of breath early this morning, but she was concerned about the older people that's in there, that she said looks absolutely horrible, that they're suffering because of that. And so I'm just appalled that they would even like take this any further. I'm just appalled with the whole thing. The governor not speaking on it, not saying anything, shows us who she is.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Shows us who she is. Shows us who Heidi Washington is. Shows us who Dana Nessels is. Shows us who all those people that's running that prison is. And it's a shame. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And we're going to do everything we can to call them out every time we get a chance.
Starting now. Like,
but there's 1,600 women. I looked up the number of people that are in that prison.
600?
It's 1,600, and they just increased the capacity to 2,200 when it went over the previous capacity. Now they've increased it to 2,200 for whatever other women they're planning to shovel into that concentration camp.
Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what it is. It's a concentration camp. When I think about the oath that lawyers take, when I look at the rules and the guidelines and the ethics of the Bar Association, Dana Nessel should have her license removed.
Yes.
No, where is your integrity? And I know the minions are watching, and I don't care who takes it back to her. Where is your integrity that you would even allow? As a matter of fact, if I was an attorney general, I would tell Gretchen and Heidi where they can go. This case is over. It's done. The judge ruling is what it is. But
we've got to do what he's going to tell us to do. He had put discovery in place to be completed by January of next year, 2026. Now that's held up.
That's held up. That's held up.
Purpose. This is all purpose. It's intentional. It's intentional.
We found David Steingold. Shout out to David Steingold. You know, I really was thinking you weren't doing nothing, so I got to flipping through the paperwork. You was one of the lawyers that was doing something, trying to do something, trying to battle this demon for Krystal to get her the health care that she needed, to get them to pay attention to what is going on. I look at that sheet, that CC that he sent. It was Debbie Stabenow. It was Gary Peters. It was Keith Barber. It was Debbie Dingle. It was Governor Whitmer. I'm drawing a blank on who that last person's name was, but that was in 2020. Now here we sit 5 years later. No, let me say here we sit almost 30 something years later, because Walter told us what it was. It was going on then. It was going on then. It's going on now. And then the punishment that they render, because I believe that's what that, and we talked about that. That's what the denial letter was about. Finally, you didn't even tell her why you denied her. Okay. But what you said was no, because you know why? Because she is standing up and fighting against this demon. And what's so ironic to me is that they would clear cases of people who have who life without parole. I am happy for you. Life without parole, that you got out. I'm not hating at all. But how in the world do they let somebody out that had life without parole, but you got this sick woman who got less than 2 years left? If y'all don't see the cover up that's going on here, I'm gonna need you to go and wash your eyes. I don't know how you wash your eyes out. I know you don't do it with soap, but you need to wash your eyes out and get clear about what is going on here. There needs to be RICO charges brought up against these people.
Racketeering, exactly.
Conspiracy to commit intentional medical homicide, in my opinion.
And you know, it's right in long line. Right now, they're exposing all this stuff about the Jeffrey Epstein files and the horrific abuse that was rendered to the young girls and women over the years. That now we have a president in who's been convicted of charges related to rape. And we have a government across the country that really is the people in charge of it are they're misogynists. They hate women. Now, how can the leadership of this state, what they're doing is going ahead and, jumping in the same standards that the government, that Trump and the rest of his people, Pete Hegseth, he was accused of crimes related to abusing young women. Trump's been accused and convicted in a case of rape. Not convicted, it was a civil suit, but right. They said he was guilty of all 34 counts. Now, something has to give in this state. You know, we have women and they'll say that, oh, they're fighting Trump and all that. And I'm glad they're doing that. Dana Nessel has been in the news all over the place all the time because they're filing all these class action lawsuits with different attorney generals around the country against what Trump is doing. But pay attention to home first. Pay attention to what you can do for women in this state, in particular, the women at Huron Valley.
Right. While she's doing all of that, she's got her own fire back here with all these women, really a slow, tortured death of them inhaling mold all day while they're blowing fans all over the prison. It's like, why the heck are you got fans on just spreading mold spores all over the prison, like you're really doing something? When you got mold hanging down, we already know that mold is hanging down in the showers like shag carpet. Right. And then you got a fan in there blowing it all around. I'm like, what is
blowing on women as they shower?
Right. And so, and even, let's put it out here. We talked to the ombudsman, right? This man is just, I'm just going to put this, he is a joke. He's a joke. He sits up here and act like he's really offended. He's offended because we're calling him out about the conditions at Huron Valley. You're not even breathing the mold. You could go in there 24 hours a day. Isn't that what, Trisha? He can go in there wherever he wants to.
24 hours a day, he can go in there. And he can get access to any paperwork that he wants in there. And so that's what's so troubling to me, that he's saying about, oh, I can't get this and I can't get that. If you want to know what the ombudsman can do, go to their website. Look and see what he's supposed to be doing and measure it up to what he's doing now. And you know what we really need to do? We really need to dig into his paperwork and find out when the first report of mold came through, because he is a part of this cover up. As a matter of fact, last year at a returning citizens event or some kind of event, he had the nerve to tell some folks from GDC and Malachi that Krystal was not sick. He said this in 2024. Now, I am looking at paperwork every day of diagnoses of mold back 2023, 2021. As a matter of fact, the latest diagnosis in June of 2025. And then he has the nerve to say, but the diagnoses are confusing. Now, the sheet that I'm looking at says visit diagnosis aspergillus. How confusing is that? Stop playing in our faces. And then it makes me mad because our legislators will allow him to lie in their face. I'm to the point where stop telling me what Keith Barber is doing, because he is doing nothing but participating in them trying to eliminate Krystal. That's it. She is speaking up. She is speaking out. If she gets out, she will tear this mess down. So they're going to do everything in their power to stop. But see, let me tell you something. They are not more powerful than the power of God. When I tell you that they are going to crumble in God's time, way, you just watch and see. They think they got Krystal in a manner that she's never going to get out of there. But you watch, and Krystal said it, they're not going to let me out. I said, you know what? You're right, sis. God is. Those doors are going to come open. She's going to get out of there. We will not stop. But Keith Barber is a part of, and I'm tired of the gatekeepers. I'm tired of, oh, Keith, clap, clap, clap. Oh, Keith is doing Keith is not doing anything but spinning his wheels and kicking the can down the road, because the ombudsman, while they're supposed to protect the people behind the scenes, their job is really to protect the institution. And that's what he's doing. He's not protecting Krystal. He's not really doing anything. He is protecting MDOC.
You know, the judge himself, Judge Murphy, in this ruling talks about Jay's conditions. And I'm just trying to find that part. Hold on. Judge Murphy's order notes Clark suffers from, quote, severe respiratory issues, uncontrollable asthma, shortness of breath, breakouts on her face, rashes on her arms, legs, and ankles, weight gain, nosebleeds, incessant coughing, headaches, dizziness, bacterial infections, severe eye infections that have resulted in having to wear an eye patch, and ear infections that caused hearing loss and a white residue to grow and leak from her ears. Today, it is hard for Clark to breathe anywhere at Huron Valley. In 2015, she was hospitalized for relentless coughing and breathing issues, and she was diagnosed with bronchitis. An allergist has since confirmed that Clark has a severe allergy to mold and that her symptoms are due to mold exposure. Dr. Tran at Huron Valley has said that Clark probably won't heal until she leaves the facility. Clark has been diagnosed with pneumonia twice while at Huron Valley, and she is on 3 different inhalers and 6 different medications to cope with her symptoms. So whatever he's saying about she's not sick, I'm sorry. The federal judge in this case, Judge Stephen Murphy, Court of the Eastern District of Michigan, U.S. Eastern District of Michigan, begs to differ.
Yeah, if the judge can see it, I don't know what y'all looking at. They don't want to see it, because in that also he names the name of the officer who was going around telling these women basically not to say anything. Yeah. You know, they couldn't speak on it, and it was punishing them for speaking on it. But Krystal, I just want to say thank God for Krystal.
Yes.
Thank God for Krystal, because Krystal, no matter what they did, she continued to talk. She continued to fight for. We looked at so much paperwork, so many labs. Krystal was putting in kites and grievances, and every time they refused her, she would write a grievance, and it didn't go nowhere. It would go to Lansing and even come back denied. All they did was deny. That's what we should have named this. Deny, deny, deny. That's all.
Right.
That's all they did was deny.
Ugh.
Even when we start, we formed a group where we got legislators and we're texting back and forth. Even to them, they were denying it. Sending, and the chief doctor of MDOC is just a talking head. She just repeats whatever that crap pot doctor out there they got, puts on a piece of paper. That's what she says. She's not concerned. Nobody in there is concerned about anything but keeping their jobs. That's it. And that's all.
The chief medical officer did us a favor, sent that lie out, lying, talking about, oh, we don't know that that's a reinfection of mold and this and that and this and that. And so arrogant to just try to make the legislators that are pressing them or not think that everything is okay. Even Kyle Demon C. Kamansky. And anybody in the returning citizen community that subscribes and uplifts and talks about great things about Kyle Kamansky, you are a gatekeeper, you are a clown, and you need to sit down somewhere and get out of the way because you are not doing the real work. This man, with all these documents and everything that we have and looking at, and it's on Krystal's link tree. So if you want to see the truth, go to Krystal's link tree because her medical records are there with her approval. She wants the world to see it. He sat there in front of State Rep Reggie Miller, who pressed him. I mean, she pressed him about the conditions at Women's Huron Valley. I wish we could play that video. That fool had the nerve to say, we have excellent health. He said, excellent health care in MDOC. I could not believe
God.
We have quality, excellent. I mean, it just kept on just gloating about this health care, but they in a meeting because WellPath wasn't paying the vendors. How they so excellent, but they don't even know how to pay the people that come in and do the work. Like, stop playing in our faces. And we have to hold them accountable. But just like you said earlier, Jay, because a lot of returning citizens groups are getting money, they don't want to be bothered. Because a lot of returning citizens groups are in there doing work, they will not speak up. As a matter of fact, no, I'll take that back. They will speak up. They'll actually speak up and try to put myths out about Krystal, saying that she's faking and that she's lying, telling elected officials not to work with Krystal or work with us because Krystal is not sick. To the
These
point
are people in the returning citizens.
Yes.
This individual I'm speaking about works in the criminal justice field, but they also work in that prison or do work in that prison. Yeah. And they have the nerve to be telling an elected official or someone that used to be an elected official not to work with Krystal, not to, and in my opinion, this elected official, in my opinion, pushed back after that. They were updating us, calling us, checking in. They had such a fire about this. And all of a sudden it stopped. Really understand why. And then I understood why. Because this individual, who I really want to name them so bad, but I'm not going to do it yet.
I hear you.
Send them a cease and desist. Shut your mouth now or else. And I mean that. Better not say nothing else. Because next time we're going to be in court for defamation of character and slander. Because you lying. Because on her link tree, I want everybody to understand this tonight. Go to her link tree. You can see it for yourself. And Krystal's not the only one. Let me read this right quick. We have folks that are actually sharing about what happened to them. One woman says, I was in Women's Huron Valley 2013, 14, and 15. I can speak on Harrison A, Unit 5 and Unit 6. I remember back then, most of the known Most of them known about the mold being in the bathrooms and the showers. We reported the conditions, and before Lansing came to do a walkthrough, they had our maintenance workers, inmates were forced to screw up drywall and paint boards, painting over boards to cover up the mold before the inspections. Now, how many times we heard this?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't be lying. Everybody can't be lying. And then she says, I now have health problems. I'm still working with specialists to figure it out. I have no idea if it's related to mold exposure, but it has 100% taken a toll on the women there. I mean, come on now. And then I can go on and on and on. And Jay even has a list of some folks that put some stuff out on Facebook posts. Everybody's not lying. But what needs to happen is we need to come together, one band, one sound. Everybody needs to come together and raise their voices and tell their stories. Don't let them scare you into not telling your story. What's the worst thing you can do? Because you're dying a slow death already anyways in that environment. Stand up and raise your voice. All we have is our stories, man. That's what Survivors Speak is about. Survivors need to speak.
Yes.
And the judge himself recognized that issue about them covering up the conditions in his ruling. I'm just looking at the ruling right now. Instead of fixing the conditions, defendants focused on concealing issues before inspections. They moved around 20 buckets that had been catching water in the law library and shower curtains that had been protecting books so that the inspectors would not examine the problem more closely. They painted over mold, corrosion, rust damage in the middle of the night to conceal issues before a morning inspection. And they waited until hours before an inspection to finally replace visibly filthy air filters, 2 years after the start of this case. So the judge is taking all this into account.
And I need people to really read that. Go to the Voice of Detroit and read it, because the judge is so detailed. He is so he took his time. It's like he took his time. He read over those documents. Like, we didn't even put half of the documents out, but he read over those documents, and he's very detailed. Like, sound like he really wanted to, like, if he could tell them off, he probably would have told them off. But he did it in a way, how he wrote it. He's like angry with them because you're killing these women. Women are reaching out on every single platform that we are on. Anything I post about Krystal, other women are telling stories about them, to the point that we now have a link, and I should have that up. I'm gonna have to, Trisha, put that link in the chat so I can put it on the banner. But we have a link now that if you have a Huron Valley story, if you're suffering from mold exposure illnesses, if you have a Michigan Department of Corrections story, period, about poor health care, reach out to us. I'm gonna put the link up sometime tonight. Reach out to us, put your information in that link. We're going to get in contact with you, because really, this is a health crisis. What's going on in Michigan Department of Corrections. It's a health crisis. It's more than a human civil rights. And that's what I said in the email to her lawyer. I said, this is more than a civil rights violations. It's a human rights crisis.
You know, I had left one woman out of, when I was talking about the state officials in MDOC, I left one woman out who's instrumental in convicting Krystal Clark, which Jay can talk more about that, for the crime that she's in when she's not, she wasn't even there apparently, but that's Kim Worthy. And she, you know, Kim, that's another woman. Now, Kim Worthy doesn't care about anyone, woman or man, when it comes down to it. She's responsible for so many wrongful convictions, and she, I'm sure, is likely supporting the people that are opposing Krystal and the issues at Women's Huron Valley. One of the exonerees, Mubarak Ahmed, that the city had to pay out $9.5 million because he was convicted after Ernest, I'm trying to, a Detroit police officer coerced a witness into testifying into identifying him, Ernest Wilson. And the witness that they coerced, I just found out from Jay, is Izora Clark, who is Krystal's mother. Now, it's clear that I'm sure from Wayne County Prosecutor's Office that they don't want anything happening good to Krystal because of her mother. You know, that caused the city to pay out $9.5 million, the fact that that misconduct of that officer. And he's still there. All the officers that have ever been connected with exonerations, wrongful convictions, they're still there, or else they've retired and are enjoying their pensions, etc. And nobody is being held accountable for any of this. The suffering at Women's Huron Valley, the suffering in the prison system as a whole, from people that, and I talk to people all the time, male inmates, male prisoners largely, but the people whose cases I'm covering in Voice of Detroit, nobody's being held accountable. And, they just keep going on with the same horrendous convictions. Most recent example is that of Michael Jackson Bolanos. Now, that was featured pretty prominently on various news stations. That young man, I think he's about 40, but he's young, black, poor. Now, he was charged with and convicted. He wasn't convicted. Oh, actually, he was charged with killing the woman rabbi that lived downtown after her boyfriend had confessed. Her white boyfriend, privileged boyfriend, coddled like anything by the prosecutors, and he was charged. And that's another issue. Kim Worthy is behind that. And I'm sure Dana Nessel and them are right along for the ride. And that's a young black man that is now suffering. The jury did not convict him of the murder. They convicted him only of lying, that he misrepresented his situation to the police. And the judge, who is a white woman, older white woman, and her name will come back to me in a minute. But she
Margaret, I know exactly who she is, because she's the same.
What's her name again?
In Gerard's case, Margaret Van Houten, whatever.
Margaret Van. And she sentenced him to 18 months to 18 years. 18 months was what the prosecution suggested. She put it up to 18 years because she still doesn't believe that the jury wouldn't convict him. So that's the kind of system we're living in.
She punished him for the jury's verdict.
I love our Caucasian siblings. Hell, I got some of the blood inside of my veins, right? But I don't understand how in the world we cannot all see the atrocities that continue to happen because of racism and privilege. And people be like, oh, privilege. Let me tell you something. Privilege and racism are cousins. Without racism, there would be no privilege, right? So let's stop acting like, my privilege. No, your racism. Because if you are not battling and tackling anti-racism every day, then you're a racist. And it's a slim chance that you might not even know it. Newsflash, all the microaggressions and all the little things, you know how people usually call them Karen, right? All these little things that just come out, and it's just strong. And I think somebody else said the patriarchal system. It is in place. You know what baffles me? That people could steal land, come over here and set up rules, and we have to follow them, but they don't even have to follow them. Because if they were following their own rules, we wouldn't even be sitting here on this live talking about this. I would be in there enjoying my little goddaughter who is here with me right now, right? I would be able to sleep at night, but I cannot. I cannot. Why? Because this system is such a demon that they will look at something and know that it is wrong and still try to fight against it. How? How could you look at something that is wrong? And we slid past something, Jay, and I'm coming back. This is a human rights violation.
Yes.
Right? I've got to tell y'all this, and I know they're going to be mad, and I don't care. Krystal's lawyers, one of them, is on the leadership committee and running a human rights coalition who never even knew about Krystal until Jay brought it up in 2023. Now, this woman been on this case since 2019. You tell me why she would not take this back to her organization and ask the organization to stand alongside her. Why? Because as a white woman doing the things that this individual has been doing, she doesn't see this as a human rights violation.
Mm-hmm.
She believed Krystal should sit right there. As a matter of fact, she had the nerve to tell Jay, oh, I think y'all would be better served on getting Krystal to the doctor. Not getting her out of there. You can get her to the doctor all you want, as long as she's
they're not going to do nothing in the system.
How can a lawyer who is supposed to represent your best interest, that's why I need to go on and go to law school and stop playing. If I was the lawyer, I would have attached Krystal's freedom to this paperwork. Krystal could have possibly been free with this last ruling, but that did not happen because she has a lawyer who thinks that she should just go to the hospital instead of coming home. I mean, this is what we're up against. You can have a demon right in your camp who don't even believe that you need to be free. And as a matter of fact, I'm telling it all, had the nerve to tell the lawyer that was trying to help Krystal not to write no paperwork to talk to anybody about Krystal's health or anything to help her individually because she didn't want to mess up her class action lawsuit.
She didn't want to mess up the lawsuit? You mean you're talking about the one we're talking about?
I'm talking about the one we're talking about.
Want to mess it up?
This was before she got that ruling, but she told the man, don't try to help Krystal right now. I'm paraphrasing. Don't write that letter right now. You might mess up what I got going on. And this is what I'm talking about, ineffective counsel, where you have your own agenda at the forefront of what's going on instead of what is best for your client. Because guess what? Krystal's more valuable to them sick. Krystal's more valuable to them locked up because the damages are much more greater keeping her in that position. It's just...
You know, there's, I think, 5 different prominent law firms that filed that lawsuit. And Jay was saying earlier, and I've been wondering where the lawyers are at that filed it after this ruling. They should be out there trumpeting it all over the media, having a press conference saying, look, we finally got a victory here. And, you know, getting it out to the media so they can expose Dana Nessel and them for appealing it.
Everybody outside of Michigan is like, wow, this is big. This is because this is so a landmark because it's going to affect prisons all over the United States. If this pushes through, everybody, more will be cruel and unusual punishment for everybody, right? But it's crickets. The only news stories that's going on is the ones that me and Trichet is running around all over town like our heads cut off, trying to get it done. None. You see, you would think that they would be the first ones. Like, hey, look what happened today, and but nothing. And people are asking me, like, why they're not out here? What's going on? This is big. It's historic. One person told me this is historic because there's never been a judge who just ripped the Michigan Department of Correction or any corrections organization like this judge ripped them. He, like in your title, Diane, he blasted them. He from the top, from the first page to the end. He ripped them open, and nothing. If we're not on here talking about it, it is not getting talked about. If Krystal is not on prison radio talking about it, it's nothing getting talked about. And that's because they created this narrative. The Michigan Department, Huron Valley, created a narrative that Krystal was crazy because that was the only thing they could do to get the other women on board. They had to make up a story that she's crazy. She's mad. She's
mad, all right. Justifiably so.
She's quick as hell. And they made up this story. And you can see where it starts when you start looking at those medical records, where they start saying that she's delusional or she has split personalities. Like, the hell?
What?
And so they start saying this to when she goes to emergency and she's trying to get help and she's trying to tell them, hey, and she can't even tell them because guess what? Guards is speaking on her like, hey, she's not here for that. Or no, she already been seen for that. They're cutting her off or whatever while she's trying to tell somebody else outside of them what's going on for her. She's literally fighting for her life every chance she gets. And they created a whole narrative. So guess what? Everybody else is saying, oh, well, she has a mental problem.
Even her lawyers.
Yeah, that's what's sad. Lawyers in general, the defense attorneys that I've dealt with, and on the whole, have a unique perspective on their clients that are in prison. They tend to look down on them, to not believe them, to think that they know more than the clients do, even the ones that are well-versed in legal issues. And in particular now, they're dealing with a woman. They're looking down their nose on a woman. And that's what happens when women raise issues. It's well known that it was only recently that it was acknowledged that women's symptoms of heart attacks and so forth were being misdiagnosed because they basically just didn't believe them. And that so many women have died as a result of that attitude because a woman was saying what was going on with her and they chose not to believe.
And then we could take it a step even further, Diane, because also Black women have been also not believed either. So many Black women have died at childbirth, just died of all kinds of things because the narratives, you're stronger, you can take it. They were teaching this to doctors.
Yeah.
They were teaching them that they can take pain. I remember a doctor told me, oh, you have a high tolerance for pain. I'm thinking, what the hell is that? What is a high tolerance? But they was telling, this is what they put these narratives out. And so, so many, even in 2025, women are still dying from childbirth, which is insane because they don't listen. They're not listening to it. So just now you're incarcerated and nobody is listening. And all the other women have been threatened to shut up. He even names that person in there. He threatened the women to shut up, and his excuse was it might start a riot if they keep talking about the mold.
Yeah, well, they need to riot. They need to rebel.
Right.
That's what brought me into the movement in 1971 when the prisoners at Attica rose up. The Black men at Attica and the way that they were murdered and tortured and treated after that was just appalling. It started a whole movement across the country, really, among young people in particular. But, that's always been in the back of my mind, that people go about their lives in this country while up to 2 million people are suffering in these concentration camps every day. And it's not just something, oh, well, they're getting fed and all that kind of stuff. This is they steal their entire lives with life without parole, sentences like that. They're just thrown away to die in prison.
Right.
Under the most horrific conditions.
Yes. The Vera Institute just came out with something too today, and people, you can look that up. But they're talking about the healthcare crisis in prison, and they have a lot of stuff that they're saying that even children, where they were talking about how inmate. Oh, I hate I said that word, but they're talking about people who are incarcerated are more likely to have, diabetes and cancer and all these kind of things, right? But they also talks about how their children, it affects the children, how they're sicker than, other children. Even it affects them more than children who have gone through the parents who have divorced. And so I'm like, wow, we're talking about this healthcare crisis in Michigan that's almost silent. And then we put these pictures out about Krystal, and everyone wants to put their diagnosis on it. Oh, that's Bell palsy. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that. No, we're going to tell you tonight that is mold. That is mold. That is 15 years of living in a mold infested environment when you're highly allergic to mold. They have tested her. Their doctor had told the Michigan Department of Corrections. As a matter of fact, they told them that she was allergic to mold, and they put her in a cell full of mold. They took her from where she was and put her somewhere worse, trying to figure out what to do with her because she was allergic to the mold. And then when they couldn't figure out, they just put her right back in there. Instead of coming up with something, they did nothing. They did nothing.
I haven't had a chance to review all the grievances and everything on the links that you sent me, but the first one I looked at was just horrendous in and of itself. That was where she was contesting the fact that they tried to, she has a heart condition. She takes heart medications. And they were trying to tell her that they wanted her to do this extensive heart surgery in the prison. Now, she knew damn well that wasn't going to happen because you don't trust no prison hospital with operating on your heart. And in retaliation, they threatened to cut off her heart medications.
Right.
And made it more difficult that where she would have to line up to get them every day instead of having them in her possession.
They did that. Diane, the doctor, before he did she went, they sent her to the surgery. They was literally trying to kill her. The doctor said to Krystal, I want to talk to you and so we can be clear on what's going to happen. So he told her, basically, I'm going to open you up, and that's going to open you up to any and everything. You're not getting good health care right now with what's going on with you in this mold-infested environment. You really need to be at home or with somebody that loves you, that's going to help take care of you and not in there. But it's up to you. If you want it done, I would do it. Because we talked before that she went, and she was like, I'm praying, I'm going to pray, that, God help me with this decision. And that doctor talked to her, to give her an option, and she said no. And they were so angry. And that's when they took that medicine away.
And the wheelchair. Let's not forget the wheelchair. But they've been taking her wheelchair since 2019. That's an ADA violation. If somebody is supposed to have a walking device or a wheelchair, you don't just take it and then gonna tell her what they say, Jay. Oh, well, since you got eyes on us, we got eyes on you. And we see you lift up your walker to walk around something that was in the floor, so you don't need it. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, she had to walk holding the wall just to get where she needed to get. All of these things, retaliation, that again, the ombudsman knew about because every time it happened, we would reach out to him. Y'all, this is bad. This is bad. And honestly, if I was not looking through the eyes of the spirit, I probably would walk away because it looks like it's not going to do anything. But I believe with every fiber of my being and know that something is about to pop off for Krystal. But I see in the chat somebody said maybe getting her to the hospital is the first line of defense. Maybe, but maybe not. Because
What
when you
hospital?
have
Where?
when you have guards going to the hospital with you that try to
Mhm.
dictate your care and won't even allow you to say what's really going on with you. And to our knowledge, they don't even send people out to the hospital unless you basically like unconscious. And by that time, they probably call them the coroner by then, you know what I mean? So there's no, we need Krystal out of there. And then we will drive her to the hospital ourselves so that she don't have to be. And let me also say this. If we get Krystal medical care, we have to pay for the doctor. We have to pay for the guards to take her there and bring her back. We don't have that kind of money.
That's what her family has to do, basically.
Yes,
That's what her
yes, that's
Pay
family
what
for
they
the
told.
has to do. That's what the lawyer That's what the lawyer, her lawyer, advised us to do. Maybe you all should. You better spend raising money, to get Krystal to a doctor.
a lawyer said that. A lawyer making
Her
millions of
her
dollars a
lawyer.
year.
Yeah, her lawyer. No, let's put that.
Hmm. You know,
Her.
those lawyers, those are some prominent law firms that are involved in this case. They
I
all
know
got
we keep
money.
hearing. We keep every time we bring her name up and discuss for how she's handled this. People be like, "Oh, well, she's the best civil rights attorney in this country, or in the Midwest, or
In
okay,
Michigan. She's the
okay."
number one top civil rights lawyer in Michigan. Okay, that could be true. But right now, dropping the ball.
Dropping the ball
Dropping the
big
ball
time.
because this lady is full of mold. I talked to her the other day. She said, Jay, the mold is growing in my nose. She feel it in her chest. She's been talking about her chest. She got nodules on her chest. Get this, Diane. 2 weeks ago, she finally saw an infectious disease doctor, and
Mm.
he doubled down on that diagnosis. So he gave her a medication, and that medication, he told her one of the side effects of it is it starts messing with her eyes. And he said, if it starts messing with your eyes, let me know. And he wrote it out so I can get you off of that and get you another prescription. So she saw him a couple of weeks ago. She let him know how this medication is messing with her eyes, her vision. And so he said, okay, we're going to take you off of there. He wrote some new scripts. Has she gotten them yet? No. They're still giving her the medication that's messing with her eyes. Instead of stopping it as per the doctor and getting the new medication that she needs, they're still forcing her to take the medication that's messing with her eyes. This is over 2 weeks now. This is the same people that say, "Oh, we have excellent health care. We have quality health care," but you still giving her the wrong medication. Even with this ruling, you still doing what you want to do, like it's nothing.
Hmm.
Because there's no accountability. Who is holding them accountable? Like who? Nobody. They just free to do whatever they want. And if you like Shawana and Solid Cry and stand up and speak against them, then cut off your funds. You're cut off from working with them. That's what it is. There's no oversight. There's no accountability. They get their money straight from the taxpayers. We're paying them to do whatever the heck they want to do.
we're also paying them. I don't know. I want to draw everybody's attention to the Michigan Department of Corrections Facebook page today, where they were so happy that they had a rec day and all of the COs were somewhere in the UP on their golf carts and they were having so much fun. I said, this is what the hell they spending our money on? They spending our money on a damn rec day and having hundreds of COs at a dang on golf carts and all these beautiful golf carts. That's what you're spending our money on?
And paying for that? The guards, the COs?
Yeah, they called it rec day. Who paying for that? Us? Because understand this, every dollar for the Michigan Department of Corrections is our money.
Yes, it is.
And it's one of the only places that gets money in the state of Michigan that don't have no oversight, no accountability. They can spend it how they want, do what they want, say what they want, move how they want. Now, how you doing that with our money? That's what I want to know. Because I want my money to take care of Krystal and the women. I want my money to tear that place down. That's what I want my money to do. But you took our money to go to a rec day and people dying. This is what I'm saying though, and people not saying nothing. We're just somebody put in the chat about the workers. Then workers know what's going on.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, the union told the workers to put on gloves and masks while they at work. The union allows senior COs not to even work at Women's Huron Valley. Why you think Women's Huron Valley keep having hiring fairs? Because once people find out about that, that's a death sentence. How you gonna work with a place that can kill you? They ain't telling everybody that, but we gonna tell them some kind of way. We gonna tell them.
The workers are definitely breathing in the mall. They're breathing in the mall, but the money, some of them don't get it because they making great money working for MDOC. Some of them, the money is life changing.
Yeah,
you know, and so they go there every day, not knowing that they're putting their own lives in jeopardy and hell in that mode every day. You better have the mask on, but the mask is only going to work for so long. Do you even have on the right mask? It's only going to work for so long. You're going to be in hell in mode. You really are. You're going to have that mask on 8 hours a day every day.
And I'm sure what's required is much more than those COVID masks that everybody wears. I'm sure they must be required to wear respirator masks.
They ain't wearing if you look at the pictures, they wearing regular masks.
Who's that? The guards?
The guard.
Well, they're the idiots because I don't think that's gonna take care of the black mold.
And Krystal's been tested. She held them accountable. She kept making grievances and writing kites. And she was adamant. She still is adamant about her health. Now, people ask, well, what about the other women? There's women in there sick. There's a lot of women in there with cancer. Nobody is talking about it. A lot of women in there with cancer. A lot of women in there are very sick. Talked to another person that's in there, and they said that it's worse. It's worse than it was in there. So it's horrific. It's horrific. And they describe how when they turn the air on, it's white stuff blowing out the air vents. It's terrible. And when it rained, when we got all that rain and it was raining really hard, it's raining in there. But the rain looks like coffee. I read it in one of those things when I was talking about how the rain coming from the ceiling looks like coffee. It's just full of crap that's coming through there.
Jake, I don't know if you can pull it up, but I just really think we need to just let people see the last diagnosis for Krystal. I believe it's on that link tree. Let me see. It's all the way.
Have a file.
It's all the way at the bottom of that link tree. I just want people to see it for themselves, you know, or go to let me see. Just y'all go to her link tree. That's all I'm gonna say. Go to her link tree. The link is called See for Yourself. See for yourself. Like nobody's like trying to lie here. This is a medical document by you'll see the doctor's number on there and everything. I'm looking at this one right now. It's like I'll say mold. Mold. Aspergillus niger complex. That one was July of 2023. I don't understand what Mr. Keith Barber, the ombudsman, is saying that the diagnosis is confusing. How is it confusing? When it says diagnosis, mold. The only way it can be confusing is you can't read, or either you've been on that job for too long, you've been there 38 years. He needs to be fired. He needs to be fired because he allowed medical neglect against Krystal Clark when he knew the whole time. We need to stand together and demand that Keith Barber be fired. Now I know they're not going to do it. If anything, they'll just let him out the back door and give him his pension, because that's what this good old boy system is about how they can protect each other. But now we got to raise up and we got to start protecting each other.
Yeah, and we had the and people will go back and look at the one July 4th when we first started talking about that. We had the lady on who used to work at Huron Valley. She talks about that, how they cover for each other. It's what they do because everybody wants to keep their pension. It's sad. I have never imagined that this is what we'll be talking about. That once we start digging into crystals and digging, and we find so much corruption from not only Huron Valley, from Wayne County all the way to Huron Valley. It's just tons and tons and tons of corruption. It's sad. It's sad, it's sad, it's sad. But we're gonna just keep uplifting the story. We just can't stop because the judge he the one that gave us this energy, and we gotta just keep it going, despite what they're doing, because they want qualified immunity. If you was doing the right thing, what qualified immunity wouldn't even be, questioned. It wouldn't be a thing for you to be asked it for. But I don't know, Miss Diane. I want to also show you guys. Let's go to something else that I saw today. I'm gonna make a little hard turn right quick. I want to show you guys this video, and I don't know if you saw this yet, Diane, but I want to play this. Where is it? Here it is. Okay.
The edge, body cam footage changes it all for a man shot in the neck by Detroit police.
A judge saw it and wouldn't accept a plea deal that was given to the man who was shot, saying that the officer should be charged instead. Fox 2 Jessica Dubnak explains how rare this is. Jess, good evening.
Brandon, Taryn, it is important to note that the man who was shot was unarmed. Now, this move by the judge so rare, the attorney in this case says she's been practicing criminal law for 18 years and never has this happened. We want you to take a look at this footage.
Get out the car! 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 Get out the car!
And when he goes to put his car in park, his car kind of goes forward. The officer's on the side. He has his gun out when he tells him to get out of the vehicle, and he starts shooting. And he shoots my client and strikes him in the neck.
Get out the car! Get out the car!
bloodied, behind the wheel, 29-year-old Brandon Owens shot in the neck by a Detroit police officer on Detroit's east side in October 2023. His attorney, Dion Webster Cox, says he was a spectator at an illegal street race when DPD broke it up. The officer behind the trigger explains his version.
He immediately started driving towards me, hit my leg. That's when I started shooting.
But Owens' attorney says he was trying to comply when his car rolled forward. Ultimately, Owens was charged and given a plea deal in exchange for no jail time. Then it was time for sentencing in front of Wayne County Circuit Court Judge Lawrence Alassal.
The judge in that matter, he read the report and was outraged by it, outraged by the entire thing, and saw the video and was just outraged and would not accept the plea. In fact, he says, it's the officer that should be in front of me, not this man.
Judge actually said the officer was acting like a cowboy. It's an incredibly rare move. Wayne County Prosecutor's Office appealed. The Court of Appeals overturning Judge Alassal's decision, saying the judge was too emotional. And now the case will likely go to trial for a jury to decide after seeing this video.
It proves that there was an officer who was pretty much just trigger happy.
DPD did an internal review of the officer's actions, and he was given a 45-day suspension for unnecessary use of force. The officer appealed that suspension, but no decision has been made there.
Well, Jess, a lot to unpack here, but we want to ask you about the victim. What is going on with the victim? Civil cases, injuries?
Sure.
What happens next?
So he was shot in the neck, very serious injury. He was in the hospital for some time, has recovered, no serious long-term issues there. Now, in terms of a civil case, remember that officer was not charged, so they are going to go after the officer and DPD in a civil suit that has already been filed. I asked the attorney that she lets us in on that so we can keep tabs.
Jessica Dudnak, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
That brings up the whole issue really about what's happening with our youth in Detroit, with the youth in the city. I mean, they're constantly portrayed. So they go to these events and they act out, driving around in circles, all that. That's something. Actually, as I recall, movies from the 50s with James Dean in them, they used to do similar stuff. And it wasn't considered criminal. Now, you look at what happened to the school system in Detroit. They basically abolished it. All the prominent high schools, the prominent schools in this city were shut down. I covered that all those years that I worked with the Michigan Citizen. Closing over a couple hundred schools. People can't get any kind of decent education. Young people can't get any kind of decent education in this city. And every day you get up and some young person is killing another young person on the news. And nobody thinks they have stopped the violence coalitions. How are you going to stop the violence? You're not giving young people, particularly in the Black community, young men and women, and youth, any alternative, a future with a decent job, a decent education in high school, a decent education at the college level, all of that. Those kids know that's not there for them. I'm not saying it's right to take a gun and go out and kill another young person, but back in the day, in the 60s, when I came up, we had political leaders that back then, the Black Panthers, others, the civil rights leaders, that let people know the situation they were in was not of their own making, and they should not take it out on each other. And there's a story up in Voice of Detroit about another case where a young man was killed during one of those by the police during one of those events. And David Robinson was the attorney in the case. He filed a suit about it. And there's a story up on Voice of Detroit. I can't remember the title of the story right now, but it's horrendous. The police, it's frightening. The police in this city, they just act like the news media in general now just takes whatever they say and doesn't question anything. You know, we had that guy James White. Now we have a new police chief, and they just suck up to the police chiefs. James White had a officer that I think he made him a deputy chief, but he was in command over his. Anyway, he was one of the booty boys that I covered in the Michigan Citizen in not 19, boy, I get my centuries mixed up. During the 2000s, I think it was between 2004 for a number of years, that were running around. They were raping Black youths, and not just youths, but actual men on the Southwest side, and doing cavity searches, body searches, fondling genitals, doing all of that. And there was two of them that were the chief ones. One of those guys was his top assistant. White's top
boy.
Sorry about that. And they just, oh no, that's not a big deal. You were going around raping people. That's rape with a gun.
Right.
And that's who they have up there. And the mainstream media doesn't challenge anything they say.
They don't challenge anything. It don't look like they challenge anything. We look at that at with Michael Bobbiabolo, who you just was talking about. Even at his
Bolanos,
they didn't challenge that either. There was a rush to justice. Everybody who was looking at that knew it was a rush, because at the time it was going on, it was right when the Palestinian thing was going on, and then this lady, she was a top, so they didn't rush, they didn't question nothing. They literally, I'm like, did they take the boyfriend to Burger King? They gave him immunity, and he was the one who confessed. And even the case you also talk about with attorney David Robinson, that kid was running away, and they shot him in the back. Running away from it. So this guy in this video talking about where he hit me with the car, whatever. You were shooting from the side of the car. What are you talking about? Anybody in their right mind would have took off or whatever, trying to get away from.
You're shooting at them, yeah.
You're shooting blatantly in the window, like you're crazy. But for them to say that the judge was too emotional, what was he supposed to be?
Emotional. That's what women get accused of all the time, being too emotional. And men love to do that and just discount. That's what they're doing with Krystal, because she does get emotional about her plight when you listen to her. And she's mad. She is mad. She's angry.
Right. She should be,
because nothing is being done to save her life.
Right. Nothing. So we know we're gonna get some slack on this tonight, but what about Krystal? What about Krystal? She's in there full of mold, that the mold is just pouring out her body. She's so full of mold that it's just coming out. It's growing behind her ears, it's in her nose. They sent some pictures to Krystal. They so dirty trying to cover it up. They sent pictures, and I should have put them in that thing, Diane. Maybe I will. That you can barely see her. They filtered it out so you can barely see what's going on in her ears. And it was those pictures that we have was because her daughter was on a video chat with her, doing a video visit. And that's how we got those pictures of the mold that you can see so vividly in her ear. Her daughter took those pictures with her cell phone, because they even try to cover up the picture, trying to white it out and brighten it up. It's just a shame that, they would do all of those things, that they put all that energy into covering it up instead of using the energy to get it together and make it right for the rest of those women in there. Now, during our conversation with the ombudsman, he talks about at one of the men's prisons where they tore down a unit because it was so full of mold, and they discovered how it was full of mold, but nothing for the women. They make them, like in the thing said, they have them cleaning out with maxi pads, using their fingers to scrape the mold off the wall, and just and you think people wouldn't be sick from that? That's humane. That's so, I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, we just want you guys to know this about this update, what's going on with Krystal. We're asking you guys to join us on this movement, this campaign to free Krystal out of Huron Valley. We're taking this movement even further out outside of Michigan as we can, because they all in cahoots together. So we just asking you guys to continue to write the letters to the governor, continue to call her, continue to contact that office, continue to use your social media platforms to spread the stories about Krystal. We're asking people who want to be a part of the documentary to, click on the link and join us. It's on our social media platforms. It's on Trishay's, it's on mine, it's on Turning the Moment into a Movement. Just go to those spaces and you'll find us links. Or if not, just email us at turningthemomentintoamovement@gmail.com and we will send you the link. Also, we ask you to donate to the Voice of Detroit. Donate to this platform. Miss Diane does amazing work. We want to keep this paper going because this is a space where it's unbossed and unbought, where your story can be heard. If you have a story that you think that needs some coverage, contact Miss Diane and, sit down with her and tell her about it. You might possibly get your story on there. And then reach out and support Survivor Speak. Trisha?
Yes. Yeah. We appreciate your support. I mean, grassroots organizations are robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? To really do what we believe is some meaningful work. You know what I mean? And so we just appreciate anybody's support. Also, to make sure that you check out Krystal's Linktree. There is a donate button there for Krystal as well. So we just thank everybody for the support so far. And we just asking everybody to just dig deep, not just in your pockets, in your soul, in your heart, so that you can not look away from this, and so that we can continue to do this very necessary work to bring Krystal home and to help fight for all of the women that are stuck in that horrible place.
Yeah. Thank you, Trisha. Miss Diane, do you have anything else you want to add before we leave here tonight?
Not right now, but I am working on stories as usual. I've got several stories about grossly wrongful convictions that people haven't been freed yet. And that's what I'm working on over the next number of weeks. We have several cases, myself and our paralegal who's investigating the cases. And those will be coming forward. People need to keep reading The Voice of Detroit to learn about what's happening in the prison system. It's been astonishing to me, covering all these cases going back to the 70s. The practices of the police and the prosecutors are just abominable. And there's so many men and women in there in the prison system in this state that are not guilty. They did not do what they've been convicted of, what they've been thrown away for life. They threw them into the prison system to die there. And to think about that, to think about the fact that people are sitting there, and not just the people that aren't guilty, there's people that did stuff that, yeah, they got convicted of and they were guilty. But you don't send nobody to prison for life. You don't just throw them away. You don't tell them, like I see they just convicted the 16-year-old kid that was in a chase. The police were chasing him, and they're trying him as an adult off the bat. During the police chase, his car out of control ran into another car and killed a worker at one of the Jim Brady restaurants, who was a family man and the sole source of his family's income. And it's horrendous, but the kid is being charged with second-degree murder. What about the cops that chased? You see cop chases all the time, being covered. And when I was with the Coalition Against Police Brutality back in the 2000s, that was one of our main issues, to stop those police chases, because they're so dangerous. And the police never get charged for conducting chases that they should not have conducted. They can get license plates. They can go arrest people in their homes, for Christ's sake. They don't have to endanger everybody on the street.
They got helicopters. They can fly all over the place.
They can follow them from up there.
From the air. Yeah, and then when you're talking about a 16 years old and they talk about the brain science, the 16-year-old brain is not even developed to the point to know. I mean, I'm not saying they don't know what's right or wrong, but their minds is just not in a space to understand what can happen, when they make these choices. And so you're 16 years old, you doing something weird, and it cost somebody their life, and now it's going to cost you the rest of your life.
Yeah,
because
that's what
that's
they're
the
doing.
kind of system.
And I saw that
have.
kid's face on the TV,
He looked like
on
a
the
baby.
coverage. He looked like a baby, and he's just stunned. He doesn't know what's going on here. What have I done? But what is being done to me?
Right. So, I don't know. That reminds me of this right here. I meant to show this earlier, but shout out to my lawyer. I was facing 30 days in jail, but he got me 9 years probation. This is crazy. But this is the type of system that's going on.
9 years of probation?
Right.
For 30 days in jail?
Right.
Wait a minute. Probation ain't no joke, to be honest.
Right.
New York had a whole system.
Right. He just gave you, he just tied you to the system for life, pretty much.
You could have just served that 30 days in jail and got out of there.
Right.
Been done with it. It must have been a misdemeanor if it was only 30 days in jail.
Exactly. So I want to thank you, Miss Diane, for joining us tonight. I know it was a last minute
invitation.
I appreciate you. So we're gonna. That's it. Is that it, Trisha?
What they say in church, are all hearts clear? It's always something to talk about, but I think it's ending at a good space, and just see for yourself. Log on to Krystal's link tree and check out her medical records.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Jay and Trisha.
Just the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just the light of mine. Just the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for me. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.